Update: I'm about to make some decisions that can change the rest of my life. For those who don't know the background, feel free to check my previous post on my profile. TLDR, a few months ago, my fiancée, Marie 23F, cheated on me and blamed me, 23M, and my ex, Samia 23F, whom I have known since childhood. Everyone was pressuring me to forgive her. But as I searched for evidence, I discovered that she was a completely different person than she claimed to be. We broke up and I met Samia again. We spent time together and now I have to make important decisions for my future. Hi guys. Hope you are all doing well. I've been asked a lot to do an update. I was on vacation so I couldn't do it sooner. I don't know if it's a rant, or if I am asking for advice, support, or all them at once. Well, since I met Samia, I'm about to make decisions that could change my whole life and I'm full of doubts right now. The first meeting. I already knew that Samia was back in town and it was only a matter of time before we ran into each other, and we surely did, in a supermarket. I was with my siblings and she was with her mom. For the record, I was, and still am, very close to her mother. I always see her as second mom because she took care of me when I was little. We never lost contact, we call each other once a month. Samia also kept in touch with my mom. So unlike our fathers, our mothers never had issues with us being together. Samia's dad has always been endogamous. According to him, marrying people inside the same ethnicity was the only way to keep the culture alive. My father, on the other hand, was very proud of his origins. At first he wasn't against us, but when he heard one day that Samia's father had insulted me in public when he caught us holding hands in the street, my dad didn't want us to be together anymore. He said black people have suffered greatly from racism and humiliation throughout history, and trying to convince people to accept us because we are black is like giving reason to those who hate us and invalidate the fight of all the people who fought for our rights. From there, other members of each family got involved and we had the feeling our relationship no longer belonged to us. Despite everything, I always had support from Samia's mom as well as she had support from mine. When we broke up, I didn't want both our mothers to update me about Samia's life as it was too painful. They respect that. I know Samia was still speaking to my mom, but I never mind their business. That day in the supermarket, I couldn't help staring at her. She was even more beautiful than I remembered. That was crazy, 2 years without seeing each other and here we were. I didn't know what to say, so I focused on her mom, and this traitor LOL made fun of the situation and left us alone because we had things to talk about. She quietly continued her shopping, bringing my brothers with her so me and Samia could talk. I can't tell you exactly what we said to each other because I was so nervous that I was on the verge of fainting. In the end, we didn't say anything interesting. We exchanged our numbers so we can talk later. The next day I called her and we decided we will meet in a restaurant in 3 days. Before the meeting we ended up talking on the phone for hours each day. Basically, she explained to me what she has been doing for the past 2 years. She just graduated and will start in September a job that allows her to work from home or anywhere. It also gives her time to follow manga workshops. She has always been very good in drawing and in storytelling and has always wanted to write her own manga but never had the courage to try. Now she is willing to make the step but wanted at first to secure a diploma and a job. She talked about her ambitions and projects, and honestly, in 2 years, this girl has evolved more than I could have imagined. At the end, it wasn't even a surprise because she always knew what she wanted and how to get there. I, on the other hand, was the shame in the neighborhood. Every time I saw faces when I went out, I wondered if they were talking about me and my failure with Marie, if they were making fun of me for having been such a stupid blind idiot for not even knowing the person I was about to spend the rest of my life. The second meeting. When we met the second time, it was obvious that my feelings for her never stopped to exist. I love her, always have, always will, and I feel like there is nothing I can do to change that. I mean, I loved her since I was a child. I grew up. I am not anymore the same person. My values evolved, my principles too, but the only thing that never changed is the love I have for her. I missed her, I missed our talks, I missed my best friend, and I missed the love of my life. It took me seeing her twice and a few conversations on the phone to realize that. God damn, I'm pathetic. I thought I knew everything about myself, about my needs, my wants, and the life I was about to build with Marie. And I wonder what would have happened if Marie had done nothing wrong to me and I had met Samia. Will I have embodied what I hate most in the world by breaking Marie's heart or cheating on her? I don't know. I'm weaker than I thought, my principles may be less solid than I thought. I remember the words of an old man. He told me that we were all deceivers, some already know it and others don't know it yet. We were all ticking time bombs that would go off when all the parameters came together. It didn't take much to become everything we've always hated. I told him it was his way of rationalizing who he was, but maybe he was right. Maybe Samia could be a cheater too if the parameters came together. She was the only person I could blindly say she would never do that. She has such a high degree of integrity and principle that I hate myself for thinking she could do something like that. But I am no longer sure how much a flower could hide a snake behind. So when I ask her about her dating stories in the last 2 years, she told me she has never been with anyone. I had a hard time believing her. I mean, she is such beautiful girl, intelligent, confident, loving, generous, with a sense of humor that makes you never get bored with her. I told her that it wasn't true, that we weren't together, and that she didn't have to try to spare me. She was a little confused about my reaction at first, then she smiled, telling me given what I went through, she understand that I could make some projections and doubt about everything, but I have to work on it ASAP before it becomes a big issue in my life. She said I should leave the neighborhood and go on vacation to clear my mind. I told her I did not want to go on vacation alone. My siblings were supposed to go to Senegal while I was on honeymoon, and that I did not see myself going there with them. It is a country with an incredible sense of hospitality where you are surrounded by people all the time, and that was not what I needed. She asked me to go on vacation with her because we had a lot to talk about. And without hesitation I said okay. It's crazy, we haven't seen or talked to each other for 2 years, and now we were planning a vacation together. The vacation. When I announced this to my mom, she was very worried, but strangely not for me. She told me not to break Samia's heart and to behave honorably, like no sex before marriage lol. We decided to go to one of the center parks, holiday villages in Europe, in France. We rented a cottage with 2 bedrooms. It was an incredible place to be. There was nature, old castles, farms, the air was clean, there was a lot of activity to do. In the first evening, I wanted to talk about what happened 2 years ago, the pain I caused her, and how things have been for her. But she told me that it was not about her. She had made the trip to be a support system. She said I was already been KO and that she did not want to add more lol, but she promised we will talk about it at the end of our stay. So I didn't push and tried to enjoy our vacation, and it was one of the best I ever have. We laughed like children, we played, we cycled for miles every day. It was the perfect place to be. When one of us felt the other needs space, we just hang out alone or being there without talking. That was very great. It's like we've never been apart. Finally, we discussed our breakup on the last day we were due home. She asked me if I was getting better and if I still wanted to have this discussion because it won't be pleasant. I told her that I was ready. My God. I was not ready. She started by telling me how she felt when we broke up. She asked me how it was possible for me to abandon her just like that after so many years of building the best relationship we could have, how I could have been so stupid, so to abandon her when she was fighting for us and she had turned her back on her whole family for me, for us, because she always knew that I was the one. She never doubted us, her, or me. She was ready to make a great sacrifice to build the life we always wanted to build, the careers we always wanted to have, the family we always wanted, the trips, the projects. How could I have let her down like that? At that moment she was crying. She was so angry that she was shaking. She told me when she left, she promised herself that she would never be in a relationship again, because if I could do that to her after so many years of building what we had and the struggles through which we passed, anyone else could do it too. She didn't want to go through such pain again and give someone else the opportunity to hurt her like this. She found an escape in her studies and at the library. Then she learned that I was with Marie a year after our breakup. She thought, when we've known each other since childhood and we had the relationship we had, 1 year wasn't enough to move on. She said to herself that I was not the person she thought she knew. She was tired of being a prisoner of her love for me when there were a lot of guys who were interested in her and she didn't even consider once to flirt with anyone. She never wanted anyone's attention and never sought validation from anyone else. She had come to the conclusion that she was not normal and something had to change. So she started talking with a guy and then went to a restaurant, then to the cinema, and on their third meeting, the guy took her hand. She was so uncomfortable that she thought she would faint. She just had an urge to vomit. She felt like she was cheating on me. It's crazy, I was with another woman, we broke up and still she couldn't even grab someone else's hand. She understood that she needed help, so she began to see a therapist for several months. She decided to act on things she can control, like her academic success, her career, and her life choices. As for me, she hated me deep down, especially when she knew I was going to get married. She came back to see her family after her finals and because she didn't see them for 2 years. She rarely spoke to her father and wanted to fix their relationship as she figured I wasn't worth the fight she had with her dad. When she heard Marie had cheated on me, her first reaction was to say that it was karma. But she was worried about me. She knew how abject infidelity was to me. When she saw me, she was still angry, but she realized that this hate didn't exist, that she never hated me, and it drove her crazy to feel so weak in front of me when she had always made logical decisions in her life. She was independent and knew how to find what she wanted in her life on her own. She realized that she loved me and that love never went away and probably never will. It didn't make sense to her. But even if she loved me so much, she wouldn't want to be with me. She didn't want to be with someone who would leave her at the slightest difficulty. She didn't want to relive what she had been through. She came to the conclusion I wasn't a reliable person, and she didn't want to be in a relationship where she would always have the fear of being abandoned. Despite everything, she came to cry in my arms and said to me, "You see, I keep doing irrational things and it kills me." I didn't speak. I listened to her throughout and didn't try to justify myself. I told her there was an explanation for all of this, but if I did it right now it would be like if I was not listening and I was invalidating how she felt. Finally I told her that I would have never went with her after my father died because it was my responsibility to take care of my siblings and not leave my mother alone with 3 children. But I should never have broken up with her. I should have let her go and I should have proposed a LDR, as we've been already there in the past. I told her that I don't know what my word is worth to her, but I sincerely meant it and I apologize for not being able to make the right decision and hurting her in this way. I probably didn't deserve a second chance with her because I was realizing that I wasn't the strong, confident person I thought I was. But I missed her, I missed what we had, and I apologize. She also apologized for putting me in a position of deciding whether to come with her or stay with my family, that she had been selfish for only considering her pain and not considering the responsibilities I had. The discussion lasted for more than 3 hours. It was heavy, but we needed it. Weirdly, she told me that not wanting a relationship right away, not trying to justify my choices, and feeling lost makes her realize that I've gained a lot in maturity. She said I used to always have the need to think that I had to be perfect, that I always had to make the right decisions and lead by example. My dilemmas. If there's one thing I'm sure of right now, it's that I'll love this girl all my life. That's the only thing I'm sure of, the rest is a mess. First dilemma. 3 months ago, I knew exactly what I was going to do. I was going to pass the last school exams of my whole life, become an information systems engineer, get married, go on honeymoon and start working in October in the company in which I had been doing my internship for more than 6 months and who had offered me a contract with a very good salary. Everything was planned. And it happened what happened, and since then nothing is the same. I always thought I was going to do a PhD after engineering school because that's what I wanted to do. I always wanted to do research. But when I decided to marry Marie, I thought it was better to work directly after graduating because she would still have a year of study left and I had to be the breadwinner. Now I don't really know if I should pursue my first plan, if it's not too late to have a thesis subject. Second dilemma. If we have to start over again, Samia will never want to live in the neighborhood. Our last year together exhausted her mentally and physically. She never wants to go through such a trauma again. The problem is that I can't leave Paris even if I wanted to. I can't abandon my siblings when they are so little. I have to guide them, watch over them as I promised my father. It's hard growing up in this neighborhood, and besides, I can't leave my mother to fend for herself. I will guide them until the first goes to university and the last goes to middle school. There is something Samia said to me that bothered me a lot. She said I needed my siblings more than they needed me, and I was trying to convince myself that they are dependent on me so I can feed my own dependency on them. She said I was not their father and that I had to stop trying to replace my dad. It's something that's hard to hear, but she's the type to tell her unpleasant truths. Third dilemma. I don't know if it's a good idea to be so close to Samia when I have so many doubts myself. Even if we both admitted that we loved each other, I'm not in the best conditions to start a romantic relationship again, and I'm afraid of hurting her because it's too soon. We both want to start being friends, but the sexual tension between us during those holidays was so intense that I had to meditate every morning to not make a move on her. I'm not the best version of myself right now, but on the other hand I don't want to push her away and miss this chance because I know there won't be another one. So I don't know where to go from here. Next step. She advised me to do individual therapy for myself. I accepted. I have already made appointments in September for online sessions until I get used to the therapist. She also offered to do therapy with her, because even if we choose to stay friends, we have to learn to trust each other again and to heal. I agree with that. For now, we have decided to travel around France in a motorhome during the month of September. She can work while we're on the road. I can reflect on myself while looking for a thesis director. I could also take this opportunity to see what my siblings are doing without me helping them on everything. It will be an exciting adventure that we can afford financially. Here is where I am with a lot of decisions to make. I arrived on Reddit lost, not knowing what to do or how to do it. Without this support, I don't think I will be where I am today. So thank you all. I will continue to take advice and suggestions from you guys, and feel free to ask any questions. The next time I will post will probably be in October after the trip. Thank you all.